The signal. The recycling processor roared to life, its massive grinding teeth tearing through the defunct satellite with practiced efficiency. Captain Elena Reyes watched from the bridge of the reclaimer as the valuable components were sorted and stored while the rest was compacted for later processing. Her salvage vessel wasn't pretty, a patchwork of mismatched hull plates, repurposed systems, and jury-rigged modifications that would make any military engineer cringe. But in the cutthroat world of space salvage, function trumped form every time. Satellites stripped and processed. Captain, reported Zeke, her operations officer. 18 kilos of rare metals, 32 of recyclable composites, and about 200 of general scrap. Not our best haul. Elena nodded, brushing a lock of graying hair from her face. At 48, she'd spent more than half her life salvaging the debris that humanity had carelessly scattered across the solar system. What had started as an environmental necessity had become a profitable industry, and the reclaimer was one of the best in the business. Any other targets in range? She asked, studying the holographic display that showed their sector of the Kuiper Belt. Zeke was about to respond when the communications officer, Mai Zhang, straightened suddenly in her chair. Captain, I'm picking up something strange. It's not on any of our frequencies. Beacon from another salvage crew. Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. Salvage crews were protective of their territories and broadcast on standard channels. No, ma'am. It's like nothing I've ever seen. The pattern suggests intelligence, but May trailed off, her fingers dancing across her console. But what? It's not human, Captain. The signal structure doesn't match any known human communication protocol. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Humanity had been venturing deeper into space for decades, but no confirmed contact with alien intelligence had ever been established. There had been rumors, of course, whispers among the outer rim stations of strange sightings and unexplained phenomena, but nothing concrete. Could it be some kind of natural phenomenon? Asked Ravi, the ship's engineer, voicing what everyone was hoping. The pattern is too regular, May replied, and it repeats with variations that suggest language. Elena studied the visual representation of the signal on the display. How far? About 6 hours at full burn. Any other salvage vessels reporting this? None in range, May confirmed. We're the only ones who could have picked it up. Elena drummed her fingers on the armrest of her chair. Salvage rights were clear. The first to claim debris had exclusive rights to it. If this signal was coming from some kind of alien vessel, the potential salvage value would be astronomical. But the risk? Captain, said Zeke, his voice low, if this is first contact. Then we're hardly the diplomatic course, Elena finished for him. But we're also not leaving potential salvage unclaimed. Plot a course, May. Full burn. Let's see what's out there. The reclaimer's engines roared to life, pushing the ungainly vessel through the darkness of space toward the unknown signal. Elena sent a coded message to the Salvage Guild, alerting them to a potential major find, but withholding specific coordinates. Standard procedure: stake your claim but keep it vague enough that competitors couldn't swoop in. The 6 hours passed with mounting tension. The crew of 12 went about their duties with an unusual quietness, the possibility of what awaited them weighing heavily on their minds. Elena reviewed first contact protocols, mostly theoretical documents that no one ever expected to use. Signal source in visual range, May announced finally. On screen, Elena ordered. The main display flickered, and what appeared made everyone on the bridge freeze. 2 vessels hung against the starry background. One sleek and elegant with organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal, obviously damaged with portions of its hull breached and venting atmosphere. The second ship was larger, angular, and predatory, with what were unmistakably weapon emplacements dotting its surface. Are they fighting? Ravi asked, his voice barely a whisper. The answer came in the form of a bright energy beam that lanced from the angular vessel to strike the damaged ship, causing a new explosion to blossom along its side. May, open a channel, all frequencies, Elena commanded. and get everyone to battle stations. Battle stations? We're a salvage vessel, not a warship, Zeke protested. And those are salvage rights being damaged by whoever's firing, Elena replied firmly. Open channel, May. The communications officer nodded, and Elena cleared her throat before speaking. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth salvage vessel Reclaimer. We are responding to a distress signal in accordance with interplanetary salvage conventions. Please cease hostilities immediately. For a moment, there was only silence. Then two responses came almost simultaneously. The first was in an alien language that the translator struggled with before producing. This is the starship Luminous Respite carrying refugees from the Iridian Collective. We request immediate assistance. Our engines and defense systems are critically damaged. The second response chilled Elena's blood. Primitive vessel, this conflict does not concern your species. The Vraxian Empire claims these fugitives. Depart immediately or be destroyed. Before Elena could respond, a warning blared through the bridge as the angular vessel, the Vraxian ship, redirected one of its weapons toward the Reclaimer. Evasive maneuvers, Elena shouted. The salvage vessel lurched as its pilot, Jackson, executed a clumsy dodge. The energy beam passed close enough to raise temperature alarms along their port side. They're shooting at us, Zeke exclaimed unnecessarily. Elena's mind raced. The Reclaimer had minimal defenses, just point defense lasers for clearing small debris, and a reinforced hull designed to withstand micrometeorite impacts. They were drastically outgunned, but they weren't defenseless. Ravi, what's the status of the electromagnetic grapples? The engineer looked confused for a moment before understanding dawned. Fully operational. You're not thinking. I'm thinking we need every tool at our disposal. Notify the rest of the crew. We're claiming salvage rights on that damaged alien vessel, and everyone attacking it is interfering with our claim. Elena turned to Jackson. Bring us in close to the Vraxian ship. Use the refugee vessel for cover if you need to. Captain, May interrupted. I'm receiving a transmission from the Iridian vessel. They're sending technical data. I think they're trying to help us. Put it through to Ravi's station, Elena ordered. Ravi, see what you can make of it. The engineer studied the incoming data, his eyes widening. This is incredible. Their technology it's beyond anything we have, but the principles are recognizable, and they're highlighting weaknesses in the Vraxian ship design. Can we exploit them with what we have? Ravi hesitated, then nodded slowly. Maybe. The Vraxian shields have a fluctuation cycle, if we time it right with the electromagnetic grapples. Another energy beam from the Vraxian ship streaked past them, closer this time. Work fast, Elena urged. Jackson, keep us moving. Mai, send a general distress call to any human vessels in range. Zeke, prep the salvage drones. All of them. The Reclaimer shuddered as it accelerated toward the conflict, its recycling processor still running, ready to claim the greatest salvage prize in human history, if they survived long enough to collect it. As they closed distance, Elena got her first clear look at the Iridians through a video transmission. They were humanoid but with elongated limbs and features that suggested an aquatic evolutionary path. Their captain, or leader, had brilliant, multifaceted eyes that reflected light like opals. We thank you for your intervention, the Iridian leader said, the translator making their voice sound melodic. But the Vraxians are merciless. They pursue us because we refuse to surrender our world to their mining operations. Well, where I come from, Elena replied, we have strict rules about salvage rights, and I'm claiming your vessel as salvage under our protection. The Iridian seemed confused by this concept, but Elena had no time to explain further. The Vraxian ship was maneuvering for another attack run. Now, Ravi, she ordered. The Reclaimer's electromagnetic grapples, designed to move large debris safely, fired at the Vraxian vessel just as its shields fluctuated. The powerful magnets made contact with the ship's hull, and Ravi diverted maximum power to them. Reverse polarity, he shouted, fingers flying across his controls. The result was spectacular. The magnetic pulse didn't just attach to the Vraxian ship, it disrupted its energy systems, causing cascading power failures across sections of the vessel. Weapon emplacements went dark, and its engines stuttered. It worked, Zeke exclaimed. For about 30 seconds, Ravi cautioned. Their systems are already adapting. Elena nodded grimly. Launched the salvage drones. The reclaimer's bay doors opened, releasing 24 salvage drones, each the size of a small car, equipped with cutting tools, grapples, and their own electromagnetic systems for handling dangerous debris. Target their weapon emplacements, Elena instructed. Use electromagnetic pulses where possible, cutting tools where necessary. The drones swarmed toward the Vraxian vessel, designed not for combat, but for the precision dismantling of space debris. Now they applied those same techniques to the alien warship, exploiting the weaknesses the Iridians had identified. The Vraxian ship tried to defend itself, but its weapons weren't designed to target multiple small, erratically moving objects. Several drones were destroyed, but the rest reached their targets, attaching to the hull and beginning their work. Captain, May called out, I'm receiving signals from 3 human vessels responding to our distress call. The salvage ships Payday, Fortune Seeker, and Junkyard Dog are inbound, ETA 20 minutes. A grim smile spread across Elena's face. Tell them to bring every piece of equipment they've got. We're claiming the biggest salvage prize in history, and we're going to need help defending it. As if in response to this new threat, 5 more Vraxian vessels suddenly appeared at the edge of their sensor range. They called for reinforcements, Jackson observed grimly. Elena leaned forward in her chair, eyes fixed on the approaching Vraxian fleet. So did we. The battle for salvage rights was just beginning. The ingenuity. Vraxian reinforcements closing. 5 minutes to weapons range, May reported, her voice steady despite the tension gripping the bridge. Elena studied the tactical display, mind racing. The 3 incoming human salvage vessels were still 15 minutes out. They'd be outnumbered and outgunned when the Vraxian reinforcements arrived. The original Vraxian warship was partially disabled, thanks to their salvage drones, but was already repairing its systems. Captain, Ravi called from his station. I've been analyzing the data the Iridians sent us. The Vraxian ships use a form of quantum lock shielding that makes them nearly impervious to conventional weapons. But we don't have conventional weapons, Elena interrupted. So that's a moot point. That's just it, Ravi continued, excitement creeping into his voice. Their shields are optimized against energy weapons and kinetic projectiles. They've never encountered our kind of salvage technology before. Elena moved to his station, studying the schematics. What are you thinking? The recycling processor, Ravi said, pointing to the massive machinery that formed the heart of their salvage operation. If we modify it to project its electromagnetic sorting field. Understanding dawned on Elena's face. We turn our recycling system into a weapon. Not exactly a weapon, Ravi clarified. More like a disruptor. Their shield technology relies on precise quantum alignments. Our sorting field could scramble those alignments. Do it, Elena ordered without hesitation. Zeke, what's the status of our scrap reserves? Zeke checked his console. About 300 tons in the hold, mostly processed and compacted. Good. Load it all into the ejection system. She turned to Jackson. Position us between the Iridian vessel and the approaching Vraxians. Captain, May interrupted. The Iridian leader is requesting to speak with you. The alien's face appeared on screen, their opalescent eyes reflecting concern. Captain Rice, our sensors detect 5 more Vraxian warships approaching. You must retreat. Your primitive vessel cannot withstand their weapons. Elena smiled grimly. With all due respect, we're not leaving. Your ship is under our salvage claim now, and we protect what's ours. Confusion rippled across the alien's features. Salvage claim. I do not understand this concept. It's simple. Elena explained, even as her crew rushed to implement her orders. In our system, the first to claim abandoned or distressed property has legal rights to it. We've claimed your vessel, which means we're obligated to defend it. But our ship is not abandoned, the Iridian protested. Details, Elena dismissed with a wave of her hand. The important thing is that it gives us legal justification to intervene, at least under our laws. Understanding slowly dawned in the alien's eyes. You are using your own customs to create an obligation to help us. Something like that, Elena confirmed. Now, if you'll excuse me, we have some salvage rights to defend. The reclaimer shuddered as Ravi diverted power to the modified recycling processor. The massive electromagnetic sorting system, designed to separate valuable metals from worthless debris, was never meant to be used as a defensive system. Warning lights flashed across engineering consoles as power demand spiked. Vraxian vessels entering weapons range in 30 seconds, May announced. Recycling field projector ready, Ravi reported. But I can't guarantee what it'll do when it hits their shields. Scrap loaded and ready for ejection, Zeke added. Elena took a deep breath. Activate recycling field and stand by on scrap ejection. The reclaimer hummed with power as the recycling field, normally contained within the processor, was projected outward in a wide cone toward the approaching Vraxian ships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the lead Vraxian vessel's shields flickered visibly, patterns of energy dancing across its surface in chaotic, unintended ways. It's working, Ravi exclaimed. Their shield harmonics are destabilizing. Eject the scrap, Elena ordered. Pattern sunburst. The reclaimer's ejection system, designed to safely dispose of unrecyclable waste, fired, sending hundreds of compacted scrap metal chunks hurtling toward the Vraxian ships. Under normal circumstances, such projectiles would have been easily deflected by the advanced alien shields. But with their quantum alignments scrambled by the recycling field, the scrap tore through the weakened sections of their defenses. The lead Vraxian ship shuddered as dozens of scrap impacts pockmarked its hull. It wasn't enough to disable the vessel, but it clearly caught them by surprise. They're adjusting their shield frequencies, Ravi warned. Our advantage won't last. Captain, May called out. The Payday, Fortune Seeker, and Junkyard Dog have increased to emergency burn. ETA now 8 minutes, and they're bringing friends. 4 more salvage vessels have joined them. A fierce grin spread across Elena's face. Send them our modifications for the recycling field, and tell them to bring every piece of junk they've got. The Vraxian vessels regrouped, their initial confusion giving way to coordinated attack patterns. Energy beams lanced toward the reclaimer, most deflected by the recycling field's unexpected interference properties, but one struck the port side, burning through the outer hull plating. Damage to decks 3 and 4, Zeke reported. Emergency bulkheads holding. Return fire with the debris cutters, Elena ordered. The reclaimer's debris cutters, high-powered lasers designed to slice through derelict satellites and space junk, were never intended as weapons. But focused on the already damaged sections of the lead Vraxian ship, they proved surprisingly effective, carving deep gouges in the alien hull. Captain, Jackson called out, I'm reading energy buildups in all 5 Vraxian vessels. I think they're preparing some kind of coordinated attack. Elena nodded grimly. Ravi, can we boost the recycling field? Not without burning out the entire system, the engineer replied. We're already beyond safe operating parameters. Just as the situation seemed most dire, 3 new contacts appeared on their sensors. The first wave of human salvage vessels had arrived. The Payday, a converted oil tanker nearly twice the size of the reclaimer, led the charge, its massive hull interposing itself between the Vraxian fleet and the damaged Iridian vessel. This is Captain Davi Santos of the Payday, a gruff voice announced over the comm. Heard you found something worth salvaging, Elena, and that some folks are trying to dispute your claim. Damn good to see you, Davi, Elena replied. We've sent you modifications for your recycling systems. Trust me, You're going to need them. Already implementing them, Davy confirmed. And wait until you see what we've done with our debris nets. The Payday deployed its debris capture nets, normally used to ensnare loose fragments of space junk, but now charged with the same destabilizing electromagnetic field. The nets expanded toward the Vraxian vessels, enveloping two of them in a crackling web that disrupted their shields and scrambled their targeting systems. The Fortune Seeker and Junkyard Dog took flanking positions, their own modified salvage equipment coming online. The Fortune Seeker deployed its asteroid crusher, a powerful pneumatic system designed to break down large space rocks, now reconfigured to emit concussive blasts that rattled the Vraxian ship's internal systems. The Junkyard Dog, true to its name, released a swarm of remote manipulator drones that attached themselves to the disabled Vraxian vessel from the initial engagement, systematically disabling its repair efforts. 4 more salvage vessels dropping out of emergency burn, Mad reported, excitement evident in her voice. The Scavenger, Last Chance, Orbital Recovery, and Heavy Lifter have arrived. The comm system erupted with chatter as the captains of each vessel reported in, each one bringing their own unique salvage equipment to bear against the increasingly confused Vraxian fleet. What had started as a simple act of aggression against what they perceived as a primitive species had turned into a nightmare of unconventional tactics and repurposed industrial equipment. They're retreating, Jackson announced as the Vraxian vessels began to pull back, their coordinated formation breaking down in the face of the chaotic human assault. Maintain pressure, Elena ordered. Don't let them regroup. The impromptu fleet of human salvage vessels pressed their advantage, their recycling fields, debris nets, and repurposed industrial equipment proving more effective than any conventional weapons could have been. The Vraxians, for all their advanced technology, had no defense against machinery designed to dismantle and process space debris, now turned against their precisely calibrated systems. The lead Vraxian vessel is hailing us, Mag reported with surprise. On screen, Elena ordered. The alien that appeared was humanoid, but with a rigid exoskeleton and compound eyes that gleamed with a cold intelligence. This violation will not stand, it hissed through the translator. You protect criminals and attack Imperial vessels with industrial equipment. We're protecting our salvage claim, Elena replied calmly. Under Earth Salvage Guild regulations, we have exclusive rights to the Iridian vessel. Your interference constitutes a violation of those rights. Your primitive regulations mean nothing to the Vraxian Empire, the alien commander snarled. Maybe not, Elena conceded, but our primitive industrial equipment seems to mean quite a lot right now. Withdraw from our salvage zone, or we'll demonstrate more human ingenuity. The Vraxian commander's compound eyes flickered in what might have been the alien equivalent of disbelief. This is not over, it declared before cutting the transmission. The Vraxian fleet retreated, their vessels limping away with damage from a bewildering array of salvage equipment never designed for combat. In the aftermath, the fleet of human salvage vessels surrounded the damaged Iridian ship, their crews already preparing to assist with repairs. Salvage crews were, after all, experts at fixing damaged technology with limited resources. The Iridian leader contacted Elena again, their opalescent eyes wide with astonishment. You defended us with machinery meant for recycling waste. Elena shrugged. We work with what we have. That's what humans do. In all our travels, we have never encountered a species that could so readily adapt their technology to new purposes, the Iridian marveled. The Vraxians have the most advanced weapons in this sector of the galaxy, yet you drove them off with salvage equipment. Resources are limited in space, Elena explained. We learned long ago that everything has value, and anything can be repurposed if you're creative enough. The Iridian's multifaceted eyes gleamed with a new respect. Perhaps this is why the Vraxians feared your kind enough to avoid your territory. There are rumors among the spacefaring species, rumors of a young race on the galactic rim who turn limitations into strengths, who see possibilities where others see only obstacles. Elena felt a smile tugging at her lips. Well, we're just salvage operators, but I'd like to think we represent humanity well enough. As the salvage fleet began the delicate process of repairing the Iridian vessel, word spread rapidly through human space. Humanity's first official contact with alien intelligence had occurred not through diplomats or warships, but through a ragtag fleet of salvage vessels defending their claim with repurposed junk processing equipment. And somewhere in the vastness of space, a Vraxian commander was explaining to their superiors how a technologically inferior species had defeated their advanced warships using machinery designed to sort and recycle garbage. In the days that followed, as formal diplomatic channels were established with the Iridian Collective, one request came through repeatedly from various alien species. They wanted to learn about human salvage technology. What the humans had dismissed as crude industrial equipment had demonstrated potential that the more advanced species had never imagined. Elena Reyes, captain of the salvage vessel Reclaimer, found herself unexpectedly famous as the human who had shown the galaxy that sometimes the most powerful technology wasn't the most advanced, it was the most adaptable. Human salvage rights had been established in the galaxy, and no one would ever look at junk the same way again.